What up, Recovery Warrior family? Jay Riz here. I am an alcoholic in recovery. Welcome to my channel. I was just going to give you guys a quick update. Big things are happening on the channel, so stay tuned. New season, new things are happening. I'm going to try something new, so you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. I'm still going to have guests on, but I think it's better for the channel, so you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. You guys will see. I hope to do it before the snow flies. It is getting to be nice and cool out, kind of fall weather-ish now here in North Dakota. Thank you guys for watching. I know I got a lot of viewers out there. I just love the support and the outpour of the views and the subscriptions that come with the channel. And if you can, please subscribe. I don't say it well enough, but by you subscribing, you hit that like, and you commenting helps me to grow. And that's what I'm all about. And we're here to plant the seed of hope. And I asked a sister in recovery to be on my show. And without further ado, Juliana.
Hey guys, my name is Juliana. My sobriety date is 5/25 of 2022.
Yeah.
I work a program, not steadily, not solid, but I work it. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. I work with a wonderful woman. I also work with wonderful women. I have the privilege of giving away what's so freely given to me. I say lightly because sometimes I forget my actual purpose in this, and it's to give it away, and of course, but a little bit about myself is, so I grew up in South Dakota, oddly enough, because I'm MHA, but I grew up in South Dakota, and I grew up in a town that was right off of Standing Rock Reservation, so if you could just put yourself in my shoes for a second and just imagine yourself as a Native American little chubby little girl that's also half Mexican but really, really light skinned. It was tough. I automatically, and I know that there's no reason, this doesn't qualify me as an alcoholic because I had self-image issues, but that's where they started. And I think that that's a lot of where my misconception of life began, was not knowing who I was as a person. I was too Native for the white girls. I was too white for the Native girls. Mexican was just like a foreign thing to anybody, which was super weird. I got bullied and teased and all the things, so I just automatically grew up thinking that I was wrong and that everything that I was doing was wrong. I was the wrong color, I was the wrong race, I was the wrong size, everything. And I know that my self-image has always been a little distorted, and so growing up in this white town right off the reservation was just super weird to me, and I just really wanted to be Caucasian. That was the thing. I wanted to be just like these girls. I wanted to fit in so bad, and I just never did. And so that was my life, was just growing up like that. I had no idea who I was. I wanted to be the next girl. I wanted to be the little skinny girl that just looked perfect in everything that she did, and it didn't fit, and I was really loud. I was always a loud person too, which is another thing that just distorted my self-image. I was just always all over the place, and I don't think it's gotten any better. But I learned to work with it now. But so I grew up there, and then I think in 4th grade I had moved to Bismarck, and I went to United Tribes, I forgot what the Theodore Jamerson Elementary School, that's where I went, and culture shock, because there was nothing but Native girls, and here I was just groomed myself to be this certain way, and then I just met a whole other mix of females, of little girls that I was like, oh, okay, like this is what we're doing now, which it was like the preppier side of Native Americans, and so I tried to groom myself to be a preppy Native. And then 5th grade comes around, and we have to move back to my reservation, which is Manor, West Segment. And that was culture shock and a half. Every little girl there was just pure res, and I had no idea So I'm growing up in this reservation, just no idea who I was. And no idea who I was. And I tried, playing basketball, which I was great at, but I was even better at being sassy. I was better at getting kicked out of school, and I was better at arguing with my teachers, and I knew that obviously there was something wrong there, because eventually I got to a point where I wasn't doing anything right in my mind. Like nothing I was doing was right, you know? Like I said, I was the wrong everything. All my life, to me, in my delusional, my little tiny brain, how I was like grew up, or how I grew up to think that I was just wrong. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be really wrong. And that's where it started, was like the defiant behavior. And used to get kicked out of school all the time. I quit my basketball team to prove a point to nobody. I started messing up in school, and it sucked because I was always super smart, and I knew that. I knew that I was really smart, but it was also really, like, those are really good tools to possess as an alcoholic and an addict that I didn't know I was yet. But instead of using my smart for good in school and sports and everything, I used it to be manipulative and sneaky. And that's when I started doing my thing. I hit 6th grade and I was like, all right, you know, all of the friends that I had made, and I know that it's a misconception, and it maybe, I don't know, controversial. It's a misconception that there's nothing to do on the res but drink and do drugs, because there is more. But that's all I knew, and that's all I saw, because that was the group of girls that I wanted to be around. And if you can't really pick a clique there, you know. There's either the really, really quiet kids or the really, really like basketball sporty drinker girls and whatever. Yeah. Those are the only two, and I was not very artistic. I didn't fit in with the quiet kids because I was loud as hell. So I had to pick. You know, I fit in with the little outcast basketball drinker girls, and that's just what it was. I started there. And it was crazy. The first time that I ever drank, too, I was 13, and it was a can of juice, the grossest thing in the entire world. Yeah. And I drank it, and that was the first time, and you'll hear this a lot, but it was the first time that in my own skin that I finally feel comfortable, and I finally found my people, and I finally was just like, holy I can breathe. Like, this whole time in my life, I never knew who I was. I never knew where I fit in. But in this freaking can of juice, I fit in right there. But I knew, and it was crazy that I knew that I was already in love with alcohol. It was sitting in the circle of people and, like, waiting for that freaking can or bottle to come back to you, or like, I pitched in the most, so I should get whatever's left over, or like, why are you sitting so long with a bottle? Like, I knew. I mean, I didn't know, because I obviously didn't know that until I hit a point where I needed to figure out a solution for this, that I was an alcoholic. But I knew that it was a little more intense than it should have been. I was 13, 14, 15 years old, in love with liquor, and I knew that it wasn't normal. You know, I knew that it wasn't just a phase. I knew that it wasn't something that I was just doing for fun. And I had like a partially strict mother who would sometimes be like no, and then sometimes be like yeah, just so I would stop nagging her. So it really depended on when I would ask her and when I wouldn't. And like I said, very manipulative, and I had her fooled for a while. I think I had her fooled. I like to think that I had her fooled, but yeah. I don't know, you know. I got away with a lot more than I should have. Good mom though. Good mom, you know, she did what she could. She had 3 other girls. I'm her baby. And of course you don't ever wish for your kids to be alcoholics or addicts, or you know, or you hope the best for them. You hope that they're doing what they say that they're doing. So she did what she could with the hand that she was dealt. And anyways, so I did my thing, and with my partially strict mom, if I was going to go out and do something, I was going to do it until I couldn't anymore. So then I think that that's where my switch flipped and just stayed on. I knew that if I didn't drink as much as I could on this outing, like, I'd have to wait until my mom was like gracious enough to, you know, believe me and believe my manipulations and let me go again. So I would just do it until I couldn't anymore. And surprisingly, I was never one of the like runaway kids. Of course, I stayed out a little later past curfew and whatever, and I lived in Manor, so it was really tough to get alcohol, but it was really easy to get other things, which yep, it didn't matter. I didn't care anymore. Like, I mean, of course I cared, because I was a very judgy girl too, so I was like, I'm never gonna do that. And that kept me for a while, so thank goodness. But, you know, no shame on anybody who it doesn't discriminate. I was just, mindset was just all over the place. But I did everything, you know. I mean, everything that I could get my hands on, which was alcohol or marijuana and cigarettes. I don't know why I thought smoking cigarettes was just the coolest thing ever, too. And I used to steal like pills, even though not even knowing what they were, and like bring them to my friends, and they weren't anything, you know. And that was odd, you know. Like nobody ever really is like, what can get me to a point of where I feel dizzy, you know. And I didn't know at the time that it was what can get me to a point of where I don't feel like me anymore. And how, you know, everybody says that, but it's like so much deeper than that. It's not just a point where I don't feel like me. It's just like, this is finally a point where I'm like content and where I'm like happy. And little did I know, you know, I'm just grooming my little baby brain still. So at one point did it switch from being, you know, society is kind of doing me wrong to I'm doing me wrong. And I didn't realize where that hit. And of course, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, and I'm also a victim. And that's it. Everything was everybody else's fault. And I knew that. That was such a core belief that I had. It was your fault. It was society's fault for making me not know who I was. It was my mom's fault for not pushing me harder in school. It was my dad's fault for walking out of my life when I was younger. It was my stepdad's fault for walking out of my, you know. It was my sister's fault for not like picking up my mom's slack, you know. Or it was my mom's fault for thinking that she was even slacking, you know. It was the teacher's fault. It was my friends that turned into foes' fault. It was everybody's fault but mine. And it was because I didn't know what accountability looked like at all. One day you just get to a point where you're like, I don't have anybody else to blame. And I think that that's where the sick and tired comes in at, is when you're like, oh shit, like I really don't have anybody else to blame anymore. But that's further now. So here I am, you know, just already getting myself set in my ways. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a full-blown alcoholic at 16 years old, and not the alcoholic that has to drink every single day, but it's the alcoholic that thinks about it every single day. I'm full-blown alcoholic at 16 years old, saving money that my mom tells me to go into the store with, and is like, keep the change. I'm saving this, I'm saving that. I'm thinking about when I can ask somebody to buy me alcohol. I'm thinking about like ways that I can manipulate my older sister into doing it and blackmailing her, you know. It's just constantly thinking about it and how I can get it and where I'm gonna get it and who I'm gonna drink it with, because I know that these people can handle me. I was already sloppy too, which I was never a good alcoholic ever. So I had to, of course, become a closet drinker, but I had to find the group of people that were willing to deal with me. And the group of people, sometimes the ones that weren't willing to deal with me but would throw in on the bottles and have to pay for the thing, which they never wanted to drink with me anyways. But that was my life. I was 16 and 17, 18, and I had dropped out of school. You know, I dropped out of school multiple times, which is super weird that you could just do that on the reservation. Like, I went back and forth from school to school. I just didn't fit in anywhere because all I wanted to do was, I don't even understand what I really don't know my purpose in high school at all. Like, what did I really want to do? I didn't fit in anywhere. I judged you, but then I wanted to fit in. I was bullied, and then I bullied it. My whole misconception of everything was just so far off of, it was nuts. Anyways, so I finally dropped out of school, and I decided to go to Job Corps, which saved my little life for as long as it could. And I got kicked out, of course, because I couldn't pass my second drug test, and then I had to go on, you know, a couple more benders, and then I went back. And so like all in the midst, of course, I've been to like treatment 16. I went to treatment again when I was 19, and there was nothing really significant except for like car accidents and stuff. And you know, we have all, like, I always used to think that my story was unique, and then everybody's like, no man, car accidents are super normal, you know, I messed this up here. And everybody's story is unique, but in like the most loving ways that everybody relates to it. And so went to Job Corps. I finally got my GED when I was like 22 or 23 or something. Just, like that's how far off of life I was, and I used to be such a free spirit, whatever I wanted to call myself, like
Yeah.
I was a drifter. And it wasn't, I was just lazy. And 23 years old, never held a job, yeah, it was a mess. And then, so on and so forth, just continuing drinking, dabbling in other things, which by the grace of my higher power, did I not get addicted to anything else. I mean, of course, I went on like a month spree with one drug specifically, but it didn't last long, thank goodness, because I couldn't afford it, but I could always afford liquor.
Yeah.
So I'm a real alcoholic. Like I couldn't, like I would find a means to an end with my alcohol, but I never could with drugs, which thank goodness, because I'm an addictive personality and I can get addicted to everything. And that's kind of like the moral of my specific story, was I am not just addicted to alcohol or drugs or anything specific. I'm addicted to everything. And if there was like a word for every single thing, it would be that. I'm addicted to money. I'm addicted to Red Bull. I'm addicted to vaping. And even in a smaller sense, like I'm addicted to relationships, and not, just codependent, but like the just incessant need of like something else making me feel good. Everything. I'm addicted to everything. I can pick up on a hobby and be so addicted to it for like a couple months, few months, and then I'm done with it and I drop it. And that's my cycle. But alcohol was the one thing that always stayed. Anyways, I'm finally at a point of not necessarily like sick and tired of being sick and tired, because I thrived in rock bottom. That was my chill spot, was being so low that it didn't matter where I was at. It didn't matter who was around. It didn't matter who cared for me or who loved me or anything like that. That was just my spot. And people would tell me they'd give up on me, and I'm like, oh, like finally, so I had nothing to lose, nothing to gain. So I thought, I really genuinely did plan like a death of mine. Like I was, of course, victim. Like I said, I wrote out my obituary and like who was gonna carry my casket, and had to just do all the things to be just extra dramatic, and that. But it was true. Like those were true intentions. Of course, I have to take everything 20 steps further than anything, but it was what it was. I was scared as hell of dying, but I wanted to be dead so bad, and it's just such a crazy cycle to be in, of being scared of like one thing but wanting it so much, and just the same as living. So scared to finally live my life, but afraid of it. Or wait, I just said that. Being afraid to live. What am I trying to say? Being afraid to live, but not wanting it.
Like obsessing of dying or something?
Well, but then like the opposite too. Like
is seeking attention or anything?
No. I think I lost it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah. I get it.
Right. And then also afraid of thriving. Like I don't have just nothing. I have nothing. I have no values. I have no thoughts, period. I don't know who I am as a person, and I'm maybe 22, 23 at this point. And still just have no direction at all. I really thought I'd be dead at that point, or I would be on the verge of, or like I thought that at a point I was gonna get so far, because victim, right? Victim mentality is crazy. I thought that I was gonna get to a point where my family was gonna be like, okay, we'll take care of you, and we'll give you money, and we'll support your habit, because this is just, I really delusionally thought that my family was just gonna be like, okay, let's just enable her for the rest of her life, or somebody, or somebody was gonna fall in love with me, like, okay. I was so gross, and in not in an awful way, but just really, I thought that somebody somewhere would find it in their hearts to just want to take care of me And because it's a victim mentality.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody else and never me. Anyways, I need to recover. So I'm... my memory is just so, like, because I don't remember. I mean, of course, there was, like, little stints of everything, like, ending up in Belcourt, and, oh, my goodness, ending up on a different res when you're drunk is, like, ready to turn my life and my will over to care God at that moment. Like, walking on a Belcourt road, like, it was tough. And then I texted my mom, of course, my saint, and I know that God made her my mom for a reason. And she told me that she was done with me, of course, and she said she was going to send me $100 to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, cool, she's going to send me $100, you know? And then she was like, never mind, I'm on my way. And I was like, oh, you know, of course. My mother, a mother's love is just so intense. And if you don't experience, like, an actual mother's love, I know that everybody's got a woman in their life, you know, that just loves you unconditionally in a healthy way. Don't forget the healthy love, you know, because we can feel love, but sometimes it's not healthy. Yeah. But just the nurture, you know, that I'm sure her love was the thing that kept me alive. Well, you know, of course my higher powers, because I don't think my mom had that will on her own. If she could give up for real, she probably would have. But I know that her higher power and my higher power were like, just, they had to have been. But so I finally get to a point where I told my mom, you know, for like the gajillionth time, I'm gonna sober up, and that I just want her to love me again. And mostly it was manipulation, just so she would start giving me money again and put a roof over my head. And like I always said that I was homeless, but all my mom wanted me to do was be sober, which was super funny. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be sober, so I was homeless. Anyways, so enough of the sad stuff. My mom comes rescues me. I had an eval the next day to go to treatment, and I did. I just did it. And I don't know why I did it. One of the women in the rooms that I just look up to more than anything, she says this thing where it's something sacred is moving, like, inside of her. And I felt that to my core, because there is no reason or any explanation as to why I did it, but I just did it. And I did my eval. I still fought, of course, up until the bitter end of, they were like, if you could admit today, and I was like, okay, well, I have to go pack. I was gonna go home and drink, and they were like, well, we'll have a recovery coach take you. And I'm like, no, it's okay, I got it. And they're like, no, you don't. So I was like, okay, whatever. So then, of course, the coach takes me to go pack, and I'm still trying to fight. I'm like packing my clothes, and I'm packing my clothes and unpacking alcohol that I had taken on previous vendors. And I'm like, wow, like, there's this coach standing behind me, and this is really happening. Anyways, I go to treatment. I didn't finish it, of course, because I just fought, and it was still everybody's fault. And of course, you have to get a boyfriend, you know, to make things easier. You have to get like a significant other, just make things easier that way. And I did just that. And if I could ever tell anybody anything, but nobody ever gets sober off somebody telling them to get sober. But one thing, just focus on you. Like, I still, up until the bitter end, needed something to make me feel not like me. And that's just what I did in treatment. I was sober, but I was still sabotaging my life with trying to participate in something, you know, that I knew was, I mean, shout out to the person, but still, you know, like, it was never, it was just to make me feel something other than what I was feeling. And that's what it is. That's what alcoholism and addiction is. It's not, I mean, of course, it's because we love the feeling of it, but it's also the feelings that it brings about. Anyways, I finish treatment, or I don't finish treatment, I get kicked out of treatment, but I stayed sober. I decided to go into sober living. Don't know why. I literally had a lift set up to go to the liquor store and back to my sister's house, but then I waited for them to house me in a different sober living, and it was just so weird why I even did these things, because nothing in me wanted to do them, but I did them. I stayed in sober living, and it was can I shout out Sober Living?
Yeah.
So Sonish Lodge in White Shell, they housed me for 3 weeks even though they weren't supposed to. So shout out to them. They weren't supposed to because I hadn't finished treatment, and that was when you needed to be in MHA Sober Living. But they kept me for 3 weeks until I could find other housing, just so I would stay sober. And shout out to them, but shout out to whatever kept me there. I mean, of course, my higher power. Oh. So I stayed there, and then I had an interview to Hope Manor, and it was my last choice ever. Trying to figure out a way to like manipulate the situation for MHA to let me go, but nothing was working. And then one of the sweetest women in my whole entire life, she was like, I have a feeling that you're going to thrive here. And I'm like, God, I don't want to even go. And she knew it. And I was just so pushy on the interview. She knew I didn't want to go, but she still was like, come on, you know? And I was like, I'm staying for 3 weeks tops. And she's like, well, or I said 3 months. And she's like, we don't do that. She's like, but I'm going to put you down for 9. And I was like, that's crazy, because I'm not staying. But she put me down for 9 to just get in. And I went to Hope Manor, and shout out to Hope Manor. All of the stuff that I've ever been just taught myself or just clung to, you know, victim, everything. Of course, I was still that in the house. I can tell you how I am a model citizen there. They like made 2 rules for me there. It was crazy. But, and if I stayed for 7 months, you know, which was good for me and my sassy ass attitude and just everything. Shout out to my like two year ago self, because I don't know what she did, but she really did mold me, or help my higher power mold me into who I am today. You know, everything that I did wrong in the beginning, because I can tell you there was no right way to do it, but I just did it, and I don't even know why. I got a sponsor, you know, I started working, I chose Alcoholics Anonymous. I stayed in Sober Living despite I always got in trouble, and I always was just pushing back, just the pushback queen. Nothing. And I got a job, finally kept a job. Oh my goodness, I actually just finally worked a whole year at a job. I mean, that was a while ago, but they were like, congrats on 1 year, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then I got another job, which always have to like put that one in there. So I started out as a residential technician at Heartview, which was cool because I got to work with people. But I wanted to do something and like be in the trenches. And being a residential tech is in the trenches, you know, but I just felt like I had something else to give, which was super weird because you would have never imagined that from me. And then somehow I am now employed at the same treatment facility that I got kicked out of. And it's just super strange. And it's still, I use my key to get into like certain rooms, and I'm like, it's so weird.
Security.
Yeah, it blows my mind still to this day that I'm even at a point of anything. But
yeah, it's cool.
I know now that nobody was out to get me. Absolutely nobody was out to get me. And even, you know, when I said that society was out to get me, it was never ever that. I was just already like, it's your fault and not mine.
It was you out to get you.
To get me, even as a younger girl, you know. And of course, like, we don't know what to do with that. Like, whose fault even is that? And why does it have to be anybody's? You know, it's not why. It's like, what can we do about it? And now I'm at a point of life where I'm just, I mean, of course, I still am pushback queen in some areas, but I genuinely take things in. And the only reason why I push back is because I just, you know, it's a learning process. But I can guarantee you that I don't push back to the point anymore where I'm sabotaging myself. I'm pushing back, and then I'm like, oh, I was wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong now, which is nuts. I still get to like be who I am, and it's crazy because now I know who I am. I mean, I'm still kind of finding cool things out about myself, like I'm a painter, and I didn't even know that. Super weird. I I'm a nice person, which I mean in like the most humblest way ever. I'm a nice person, and I didn't know that in my whole life that I wanted to be nice, but I am. And I love seeing people happy, and like my happiness is contingent on your happiness. And I love helping people. Ooh, I just lied. I love the feeling that I get when I help somebody. Before it used to like drain me. And of course, there's days where I'm like, I don't know. But I do it. And I I do these things even though I don't do them perfectly. I do them because I want to. And I do them because I know. And I know that it's like, oh, we get to. But you know what?
Yeah.
I have to sometimes. I have to do them sometimes because it's the thing that keeps me connected to me and to my higher power. And if it wasn't for my higher power just working his magic secretly like behind me, I don't know that I would be here at all. I mean, I know I wouldn't be here. I'm just okay with being okay today. Like I don't have to know exactly what's going to happen in my day anymore. I don't have to like try to control every single thing and every single outcome and what this person thinks of me and where that should be and
Yeah.
I just am okay with being okay. And some days I'm like way better than okay, and some days I'm not. And maybe I'm just okay with life and what this beautiful like program showed me. Sometimes I like to think that alcoholics and addicts who found a program that works for them like have it better than a lot of people, because we have this like beautiful solution and we have this beautiful way of life and some of the coolest people, nicest people. Like you guys are my people. And I never in my 27 today, 27 years
Awesome.
of life.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. 27 years of life have been able to say that these are my people. And I look at you guys and I'm like, you guys are my people. And just happy to be here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's awesome. So I got a few questions on the last segment here.
Okay, sorry.
All right. You're good. Do you dream?
Dream?
Yeah.
Every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
I ask that because sometimes I know some people don't dream or they don't remember their dreams.
Like when I'm sleeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you wake up and you remember. Do you believe dreams can be premonitions?
Ooh, I
Like,
hope not.
Has a dream ever come true for you? I don't know.
Me? No. Not that I could ever like say solidly. I don't think so. No, my dreams are weird.
Mine too.
So I hope they're not premonitions.
Yeah.
'Cause some of that stuff happened.
Okay. What happened to you that made you believe in a higher power?
So that like really famous question of like the "Do you believe that I believe?" question is just so powerful to me, because I noticed how much my mom, like the fact that my mom's prayers got me here, because I wasn't praying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yep. Do you believe in spirits or ghosts?
Oh yeah.
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 How so?
I don't. Cause you can feel them. I don't
Okay.
believe that. I really don't believe in evil anything.
Okay.
I think that negative things just happen. I don't think that they're ever out for anything
Okay.
negative, but I do believe in them.
Yeah. So that being said, do you believe in the theory of energies?
Oh yeah. Have you ever
Yeah.
felt somebody's negative ass
Yes.
energy shift a room, and
Oh,
then somebody's
yeah.
positive ass energy shift?
Yeah.
Yup.
Like me when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Like if I got people in the back, I could just feel,
Mhm.
just the ugly. Like, man, this is gross. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The energies.
Yeah. Or
Good.
even when you're driving, like, have you ever drove angry and you feel like
Yeah.
everybody else is driving
Oh,
angry
yeah.
because
You're
you
just
probably are?
Just
Yeah.
in rage. Oh, road rage.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you believe in God shots?
This is so controversial of me. To I believe that like some things stand out more in your brain and in your mind than other things, but I don't believe in coincidences.
Okay, that's a good answer.
I think that life just
Yeah.
lifes.
That's cool as hell. Yeah. All right. So do you enjoy the outdoors?
Not as much as I enjoy the indoors, honestly.
Oh, okay. So you don't go hiking?
No.
Okay.
I would maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to anything.
Yeah, exactly. So in the big book, there's a term rocketed into the fourth dimension, right? You've heard that?
Yep.
Yeah. What does the fourth dimension mean to you?
I think just living in a constant state of peace is my, like, I've never been there.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It feels like a different dimension to me.
Right. Oh yeah. That's the way I believe in it too. It's like a plateau. You can peek over. Like, wow, this is awesome. You know.
And then you don't see so many obstacles anymore.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you know that they're coming up, but you're like, I think I have something for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fourth dimension. I asked that too because I've heard different things. Like being in the rooms, people talk about the fourth dimension being different, and I'm like, okay. I'm gonna start asking like, what? Guess that. You know.
I don't like to complicate things.
Right.
I just like, it feels good saying a constant state of peace.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or even consistent, even, because sometimes they're not constant.
Yeah, that's true. So, what are your thoughts on interdimensional travel? Do you believe in interdimensional travel?
I think another controversial answer.
Is it?
I think I worked too hard to finally just be right here.
Okay.
That I'm not even interested in anything else. I just need to be.
Present?
Yep.
Right here.
Just let me be right here.
That's badass.
Maybe I'll think about it later.
Yeah. So do you believe in UFOs or life on other planets?
I definitely believe in UFOs.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one?
No. I can't. I know that I've seen things.
Floating art.
Unidentified. That's really all it is. Is like, I couldn't identify that, so that's a UFO.
Yeah.
I definitely believe in like life on other planets.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that they're. I mean, of course, because they call like illegal immigrants aliens. There's things everywhere. I believe in everything, but I won't think too hard on it.
Exactly. So what about like alien abduction? You've heard that. You've seen that. Do you believe in that? Like being taken on a spaceship?
Controversial answer.
Is it?
Again, but no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, why, what would be the point of that?
I don't believe in it either.
Yeah.
I don't believe in alien abduction.
I don't think that if there was aliens on other planets, they're probably like, man, we don't want any of them. You guys can stay there.
Yeah. Like that movie, I don't know if you heard of it, Fire in the Sky. No. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. You guys should watch it. I don't believe in it either. So what's next for you in recovery?
I could tell you what I'm going to do today, and then that's as far as I got, because my overcomplicated mind, I could tell you like 64 years ahead. But for my recovery is still self-discovery. I'm going to crochet a blanket.
There you go.
And maybe I'll be really good at it. And that's what I have on my docket for recovery today, is just being content.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. All right. So do you have any shout outs out there for anybody? Anything?
Of course. Shout out to my mother. I've been talking about her enough lately. So shout out to my mommy. Shout out to Hope Manor and Sonish Lodge and all the MHA lodges. And shout out to Good Road Recovery Center that took a chance on me and employed me. And shout out to my boss, my coworkers, everybody that I love near and dear. And I know you know who you are. Just shout out to everybody that's doing the damn thing, and shout out to the people that want to do the damn thing and can't, and shout out to the people that are making their way, and just love you guys with my whole heart. Oh
yeah. All right, guys, that'd be it for the show for today. My name is Jay Rizzo. I am an alcoholic in recovery. This is my channel. It's called The Recovery Warrior. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna have big changes happening, so you guys are gonna have to tune in to find out what I'm gonna do. Just keep the views coming. I really appreciate the subscriptions, the views, the loves, the likes. Follow me on the Recovery Warrior page on Facebook. You'll see constant updates on there. It's pretty much going to be the same format but different. You know what I mean? Like I said, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out. I really appreciate everything you guys do. There's a lot of love out there. Just keep them coming. And I believe that'd be it for today's episode. And with that, we will pass. Love you. Bye.